and welcome back to Galactic Reviewers. This is the continuation in the spoiler zone of our review over the Kingsman movie. You know what? Let's just get into it. Enough has been said.
No, I like that. I like the spoiler zone. That's fun.
Yeah, look, I
Gonna
said it.
take your
I saw
body to the spoiler zone.
I saw Peyton's face and I was like, nope, I just need to ride on through it. Andrew, you've seen Harry Potter, right?
Yes.
How was it to see Voldemort with Harry?
What?
The father.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
that's Voldemort.
I did not know that. Fine, I guess. I didn't even notice.
It doesn't matter
I
anymore.
couldn't
Then.
tell. He didn't look as pale as me. I don't.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't look as pale. He actually had a
I will
nose.
say, Andrew, you ironically look a lot like the bad guy of this film.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wait, is that Andrew? Andrew's a star.
It's a little bit of like a mustache, like dye
You
or
got the
brush
whole
on,
thing
kind of like
going for you. You could have been a stunt double.
could have.
Now I will ask: did you guys see him being the villain? How long did it take for you to like? Did it take all the way at his reveal?
I wasn't really like trying to figure it out, but also I didn't expect it.
I think it was mainly just I didn't care
That too.
because he was
Be
just in the
honest.
background. He wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, to be honest, when it was revealed that it was him, I was like, really? I'm a little disappointed. I was expecting someone a bit more, you know,
Historical.
exactly.
We see
Like baby Hitler, I expected it to be him. He was the one who orchestrated the whole thing.
we see Rasputin, we see Archduke Ferdinand, we see the main character is Duke Oxford. We see
Mm-hmm.
King George, we see all these historical figures, and it's just some random Irishman snuck his way into the British Army.
I think it was a Scotsman.
Gonna have to look it up now.
I think you're right.
I mean, that was like the whole reason for his backstory was his lineage, and I don't remember what
Right.
it was.
Well, he was like a Scotsman who like lost his farm or something.
Yeah. If you've seen
pretty much.
Braveheart, that's the whole backstory of Kingsman, which is the backstory of the Kingsman movies.
You may take your hopes and your dreams and my wife and my leg, but you can never take my freedom.
And just have some classical bagpipes in the background, and then just the
We need
flag.
I was talking to Payson before. It started out as a 6, kind of crept up to a 7, and then dipped down to a 5 as it got closer.
I will say, the biggest point where it dipped down was when the son died.
That didn't kill it for me.
It didn't.
It was the
just,
way he died that got it. Did it?
Well,
for me.
yes. Yeah, like I expected him to die, but I expected him to have more to do with.
I didn't expect him to die just because of a misunderstanding.
Exactly.
No,
I expected
what
him
would've
to
been-
die a little bit more, First off, after running from a Gatling gun, 100%, the dude should have died there. And then he survives that, and then he dies just from being shot in the head from a misunderstanding. That was the most disappointing thing for me. You run however far, like half the trench to get there from a Gatling gun and landmines going off. You survive, get down there, and you just get shot in the head. I'm like, that's the most disappointing death you can ever have. I will say it makes sense for the saying that they always would say in the first 2 movies. What is it? Oxfords, not rogues.
Yep.
I mean, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, if it was started by the Oxford family, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just the whole thing of we need to be gentlemen, but just deadly. I don't know. I just enjoy the idea of the overall concept of it better than 007 to me for some reason.
Yeah, I will say this was more fun than the James Bond movie. See, what I thought they were gonna do was in that moment, I thought that they were gonna take the guy who shot his son and made him have to, and he would have to go and face the father and have that be an interesting arc to where he is humbly sorry. I thought that'd be
I mean,
interesting where he had, but I don't know if that's anything
would've-
has anything to do with the character.
That would have been
at all.
interesting, but also they were still in the middle of the war, so they
True.
weren't going to take him out just because.
I know,
friendly
but
fire.
like
But no, that would have been interesting.
it would have been interesting if he had to be the guy that had to go back and tell him that his son
I
died.
shot your son
and-
in the face.
Yeah, pretty much. But like to have that be more of a dynamic, and instead of him as well, he lost his son, but you also have that relationship. And I don't know if this would the reason why they probably didn't do this is because it would probably affect the Kingsman movies that come on later down the line, as
Possibly.
depending on how
one
they
thing-
did that relationship as well.
Yeah, one thing I
Now-
was expecting to see more of is when he sent the guy back in his place and he gave them the title. Was it Lancelot or?
Yeah.
Lancelot.
And I was hoping to see a little bit more of him in the movie instead of him just showing up at the end.
I didn't expect to.
I mean, the thing was, like, did he get trained afterwards to become
I would have liked
Lancelot?
to have seen. I would have liked to have seen that actually,
And I'm like, that would have been like a little nice,
because
especially
it made
to
it.
I don't
see the
watch the
king,
movie anymore.
It
legitimate king of England becomes a member, and I'm like, so I mean that was pretty cool too.
The King of England is not King Arthur in the group.
I was looking at it and I was like, that's kind of funny.
It's really funny. I think
I
the
would have
point.
liked to have seen Lancelot become like a sort of a surrogate son, but I don't know if that would have also affected. That's the problem with some of
Yeah,
this stuff as
I
well.
will say I was kind of expecting something like him kind of like being a servant in the house or something similar, like helping out in the house, since the dude's son pretty much spared this guy's life so
Well,
that
I
he
was
could go to the war. I was
yeah
expecting a little bit more interaction between like the two of them or just
yeah.
anything really.
Instead of him
But
just being like a messenger boy, I was expecting him more so to be more like a
have a little
surrogate
bit more
son to him.
plot.
Yeah,
Yeah, have a little bit more character. But I think all in all, I enjoyed and was a little creeped out with how he regained the use of his leg.
I'm gonna jump back to the part where you said you enjoyed that. Can you like elaborate a little bit more?
I enjoyed what happened afterwards with the fight.
Oh, you
All
didn't enjoy
right,
that first part?
the first half, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
But that's something I kind of wanted to talk about.
I got that that was like a joke, and I thought they played it off very well for like the first 5 minutes when it was a joke. And then I'm like, okay, this is now getting stale, and they're not playing this way too much. And they didn't explain any of Rasputin's ability to sort of control other people, which it seemed like he could do in that scene. I thought the joke was funny, but it's just, and
I
then
don't the
Yeah,
joke.
you don't think it was a joke? I thought they
I
played it
mean,
off as a joke, which
the
is what
dude
I
was a
thought was hilarious.
psychopath in history as well. So
Well, yeah, I got that part, and I figured as much that that probably was true, considering that most honestly most pedos are freaks, and this guy seemed like a pure pedo.
I mean, the way they introduced it, hey, I need you to go to his chambers, and I'm
Yeah,
like, and then it's like,
see, and that's
by the way,
that's
kid, move aside. I want your dad. I'm like, no.
and that's where I thought it was. That's where I thought they did a good job of doing the joke, because I thought they were actually. I to me that seemed funny to like have the father end up playing it, putting his
Oh yeah,
son in the
no,
danger, and then
that
his
was funny.
father. That's why I thought that was funny, and then they played
That was
into it.
funny.
See, there were bits in there that were funny about it, and that's why I was thinking, oh, they're playing it more so for the joke aspect, not trying to drive home all the weird stuff that they did like 2 minutes later. Yeah, and then I'm very surprised at how stupid they were. That when he puked up the cake, he was just normal, like it was a normal everyday occurrence from the puke cake.
I mean, did you
So
not see how fast he ate that cake? I
true, but
mean,
he's
I
also
would throw up from eating that fast.
He threw it from the cyanide.
Yeah, well, that too. But let's be honest, the dude grabbed the whole cake, just shoved it in his mouth, and was like forcibly choking it down.
I
Yeah.
also don't know how exactly you heal a leg by licking it.
The thing about like Rasputin that I just curious about. I know he was a wild man. I know he's this legendary figure in Russia's history. I just want to know how much of his characteristics were exaggerated in this movie.
Yeah, I
Um,
did want to know that. I knew he
Well,
was pretty
from
much
what
the
I remember watching,
downfall of the royal family.
yeah,
The
well,
only
from what I
thing
remember watching was there was this at some point there was this thing about like these weird things about history, and one of the things was on a video that they did about Rasputin, the guy, and he very much looked like the way that they put him as in this film. So one of the things was, I don't know if the didgeridoo thing was the same, but one of the thing was is I believe the way they said he died was it was either thought that he was it was told in like a couple separate ways. First it was told that he was poisoned, and then that he fought off the poison because he had somehow become like somewhat immune, and then was shot in the head and then put in the river. And then afterwards when he was in the river, people claim that they saw him jumping out and waving his arms in the frozen river. So
I will say another
after he
thing,
was shot in the head. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's some of it was interesting on what they took into making that somewhat historical fiction.
which that being the first fight we see in the movie as well, that was a little enjoyable to watch him die because you were just forced to see whatever it was he just did to that poor man. But I will say, one thing I was disappointed. You had there were 12 of them or 13 with the rings.
I
We
saw
saw
at least I saw at least 8 because there were 4 on
8?
one side, 4 on the other, and then Lennon
Yeah,
came
but there
in
was
later,
one missing.
and that was 9.
Yeah.
that
Oh.
scene.
I was expecting
scene
to
And we
see
only got
more
to
of them
see
or have more of them have bigger roles.
and we only got to see 4 of them. We got to
Yeah.
see the guy who killed the Archduke. We got to see Rasputin. We got to see the lady and Zemo,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got to see Lennon. So we got to see 5, and then the Andrew lookalike. I don't remember seeing the other
I don't
3.
even know like what significance they were supposed to play as.
Maybe they'll come up in the
Um,
3rd film.
Part of the reason I didn't take this movie seriously was with how they introduced the villains. Just that the initial long table scene with the dude in all shadow yelling at his goats, like just yelling at everyone. With
Man,
this,
some people love their goats. Hey, you can't.
but just like
and
at
then
the end,
immediately kill his favorite goat.
you know how they're like banging on the table? That just made me like, that was just funny.
They were hungry.
Scare me. It
Hail
didn't make me,
Hydra.
like,
Yeah.
it didn't make me think, oh, these are bad dudes. It made me think of kids with like their forks, like, give us food.
Not
They
when he
made
shot
me-
the sword gun.
That was cool.
No,
The-
that was cool. But now I'm wondering, how do you load that? Is it like you have to put in the bullet? You have to put
Yeah.
the bullet inside the chamber.
Have you not seen like
Through
what is
the-
it? Is it Steel Forge? What is the YouTube channel? I forget.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
that's real. I'm just saying, like, I would
No,
like
it
to.
is.
I would like to have known
and
how
it's like
he
a musket.
loaded it.
oh,
Like
Oh,
a
so you load it
musket.
like a musket. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking it was
Yeah,
because I
it's
don't remember
pretty much
seeing
like a
anything on the
musket.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. It's really cool.
It's a one shot, one use thing.
No, really? I thought I had a whole chamber. That's why you had such a long hilt.
Yeah. Later they decided to put a mag into it so you could do multi.
It's just a
um,
pistol with a long bayonet. That's what it really is.
or you could just say a rifle with a long bayonet. But
No, a pistol because it's got nothing on the side.
yeah, but technically it's a musket, which is a rifle.
Yeah, but technically, if it's got an indent on the wrong spot of the sword, the bullet will veer off.
I suppose. Before I continue, I have a question. Who is the Kronk?
The Merlin guy, I think. I would think the Merlin guy. That's the only guy I can think of.
I mean, he makes the most sense. I think, especially with one of his
Because
quips
I mean,
if we were meant to fly, I would be born with wings. But then you have that quip that comes back and said, well, if we were meant to drive, we would have wheels.
he's like, well, you drive Dad's carriage. I don't see any wheels on you.
yeah, this
But-
movie doesn't have almost any like actual Kronk candidates.
Yeah, because
Honestly,
let's see, you got
it would only be him because it would be because of his fear of heights, and that's it.
yeah, because you got the 2 protagonists in the quarrel, the father and son. You got the all the
The nanny.
antagonists that really are just there, to be honest. You
And
got
honestly, the nanny is just, I mean, she's
the
just
nanny's
there
also
to
just
kind of
there.
hold
Like
the
she's there
movie
for a few scenes, but
hold-
it's
mostly to hold the father and son together.
more so to hold the father together. In which I was just like, you're kind
Well,
of
it's
just
hold-
there.
to
And
hold
even
the
then, the
father and
king
make-
was more
I
of a
don't know.
part than she was to me. It's just at some points I was just like, some of her stuff just came out of the blue, like when she kissed him or whatever. It's like, okay, that came out of nowhere.
Or when
like
she
no
showed
rants.
up and like shot Rasputin
Yeah, I was
in
like,
the
where
head.
were you the last hour during this fight? Like, you would think you would be there trying to kill this guy, considering that that's what you guys are there for.
No, she did. She made the cake.
Zach, are you implying that women's only place is in the kitchen?
Maybe.
Okay, I'll agree with
abstain.
that.
I think the last and the biggest gripe I had was at the very end of the movie where Oxford had finished off whatever his name was, and he's holding them by his scarf, and he's like, oh, you won't kill me, you're a pacifist. That doesn't matter. It was when he took the medal, a war medal, an old war medal, those things are not sharp, and cut the scarf. Those things are not sharp. And then it's not even like he wanted to keep the scarf for sentimental value or anything. He let it fall off the end of the cliff after he was done watching the guy fall.
And the
Like,
whole purpose was so my son can be a hero.
it was him being
Because
dramatic.
it was his son's medal. That was the purpose for that. So, I do agree with that one.
What I
And
found
then
weird
the very
was
end of the movie, when you have, I don't even know where they were. It looked like in the middle of a bank vault.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I want my son to be the hero, so I'm going to use the medal that he got after he got shot to then.
to
You're not gonna hold on.
He
You're
got
not gonna kill
shot.
me. Hold on.
No.
You're
He
not
got
gonna kill me.
shot.
You're a pacifist, even though I just killed the dozen of people outside.
He also got shot being a hero by getting the film that was apparently blackmailing the president of the US from going into the war into the hands.
No, it was the code that
No, it was
Russia
no, it was
sent or
no,
that
it was
Germany
the
sent to Mexico because they didn't believe that it was didn't believe it was real.
oh no, he got the whole transcript. He got the whole no, he
Got
got
something.
he got the original transcript, I think is what it was.
That might have been it because they didn't get pictures until they caught what's her name.
The lady with the scarf.
Yeah. The
No,
lady with
they
the
didn't
scarf.
get the pictures until they went and fought that dude.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They blend everything together. You got this MacGuffin to go find. I know what you gotta go find this MacGuffin. And how ironic is it that he was saved by a goat? Like at last sec, like that's really just waiting on the goat. Like I don't know if you guys watch CinemaSins on movies, but I could just hear him when like the goat went through the leg. I was like, goat ex machina.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
just-
like and in my mind, I'm like, that's a very good point. That just came out of the blue, out of nowhere. Like it would have been different if it was like a headbutt, but no, it was a horn stab.
I mean, he took the other one, so
But I mean, usually they headbutt things. And I'm also trying to remember where it was, because depending on where it was in the leg, it would have to have gone through bone.
it was the upper part of the leg, and that's all I know. So it would. I mean,
Was it in the middle of the leg?
yeah,
Okay, and then it would have had to gone through bone.
it would have. It would have. But
Oh,
also
man.
their horns are in a twisted shape. So
As you try to, there's so there, it's twisted.
Look.
It's
so is my mind.
like when the goat hit the leg, the bone just disappeared. Just not the whole bone, just that part of the bone. Because otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to stand on the thing on the edge and have him have that whole speech about him having a son and blah blah blah. It's just some of the stuff was
the grip strength that man must have to hold a whole dude standing there.
by the scarf, mind you.
Those things aren't easy to hold. Have you ever tried to do if you've ever tried to do
I'm
where you
surprised
like
the guy didn't try to
towel?
grab the scarf.
Yeah, if you try to hang from a towel and pull up or even do pull-ups, that's hard. He's just standing there, just chilling, just chatting with the guy.
Also, it would have been more so a scarf that would have been more smooth, so it wouldn't have had as much roughness. So it would have been harder to hold. And considering that he didn't even wrap it in his hand,
and if
it
you
was just
notice,
straight
the
hold.
dude's feet were slipping. Like he couldn't get it. So the dude wasn't able to. There's
Oh,
no
no.
way.
Yeah. Well, another thing I thought was funny was at the end where they were just like, "We're gonna make sure this will never happen again," and that is World War I.
Well, you meet Hitler at the end. Honestly, next, after they defeat Hitler, they're gonna pull up the Death Star plans.
It very much blends all together.
It does. It's not a bad movie, but it's
But
not.
there
a
are some great
fantastic
scenes in
movie.
there that you can definitely go, yeah, it's not completely bland, but there are some bland moments in it.
The fights were the best part of the movie.
And the one or two quips they had in between. All in all, just watch the other two.
Yeah.
That has been it of Galactic Reviews. Thank you for watching us. The next movie we will do is, so join us next week for that. Don't forget to watch us / listen to us on Rumble, Audea, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And we are now on Twitter. So check us out on Twitter and then follow us in order to get posts on every video we put out on YouTube.